Well, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to our online seminar on the introductory teachings of the Ascended Masters on Cosmic Law as released through the Temple of the Presence. My name is Ayan Alas, and I'm your host and moderator for today. Let me give a opening prayer to start our seminar. Beloved mighty I am presence in the heart of God and a great central sun. Beloved Father, Mother God, we call to your all-loving, all-knowing presence as each participant in this seminar is enveloped by the holy angels, by our holy Christ presence, guiding and directing us in our studies today as we know more of thee and the purposes of our life in this embodiment to fulfill our mission and to expand thy love and thy kingdom here on earth. To God we give the glory of our life. Amen. Okay, everyone. Some ground rules. Some our program for to let you know is that we're going to have our main lecture, and then afterwards we're going to have our question and answer portion. Some ground rules that everybody would be during the lecture and the question and answer portion will be on mute mode. And if you have any questions, please do write them on the chat box, and I would read them and direct those questions to our facilitator. Okay. All right. Here are again our facilitators, five of them. Dean Telma, Jimmy Cabangis, our facilitators for today, which going to be introduced later, Bergay and myself. All right. Barbara, our facilitators, Barbara Laasko and Clyde Laasko. They are both retired professionals in the health industry since 2018. Both have been ardent Ascended Master students and their teachings since the early 80s and have devoted their lives to living the Ascended Master way of life. Both were staff members of the previous Ascended Master activity in California and Montana, and then joined the Greater Church of the I Am Faith of the Temple of the Presence in 2001. Both began conducting outreach lectures and weekly events as TOP Chicago Altar Group from 2003 to 2015, and then they moved to Tucson, Arizona in 2017. Both are currently serving as volunteer staff at the Temple of the Presence headquarters. So without much further ado, let me give you our presenters, Barbara and Clyde Laasko, who, as I know, that they are coming live and direct from Tucson, Arizona, USA, which is about 1 o'clock in the morning. So let me just set up the Clyde. Barbara, please do check if you can share your screen already.
Yes, just a second.
Okay,
Can you see it?
not yet.
Huh?
Can you see it, Ian?
Um, um, everyone, for on my slide, not yet. Oh, how come?
Can't see it?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Share screen.
Okay, so
Is that right?
Yes,
click that one.
there you
You
go.
see? Ah,
Click on it and then presentation.
Okay, we can see it now.
There you go. How's it look, Ein?
Wonderful.
Okay.
all right. Okay. So, as you have heard, Clyde and I live in Tucson, Arizona. It is the 1st of August. It is a Sunday, and it's approximately 1 o'clock in the morning here in Tucson. So, we'd like to welcome each and every one. I'm sure it's good afternoon for every one of you there in Manila. And I know some of you are joining from other countries, but we don't know what your time zone is. But whatever it is a very good day. So we'd like to greet everyone and welcome everyone to our module 4 of our Ekedeus series, which is the Holy Christ presence.
Down in the middle. Oh,
Okay. Our topic today is the Holy Christ presence, who is an expression of our mighty I am presence that is ever so close as a heartbeat, ready to teach and comfort us. We may not realize it, but we do receive and act on the promptings of our Holy Christ presence numerous times in the course of our day to day living. How do we know for sure about all of these things that we speak of? In this presentation, we will strive to introduce you to your Holy Christ presence and to become familiar with the expression of this vehicle of our mighty I am presence, who is working very closely with our four lower bodies, and to experience the very tangible love and light of our mighty I am presence through the Holy Christ presence.
thank you, Barbara. The Holy Christ presence is the son or daughter of God who receives the radiant light energy of the higher bodies, and we'll talk about those, steps it down into the world of form, and produces only that which is good. And what is good, as we all know, is not a matter of opinion or debate here below. Or what is good, what is God's will, has been decided long ago by the mighty I am presence, foreordained in its providence and cosmic law. So let's look at the portrait of the presence. The Holy Christ presence knows itself to be the presence of God, the mighty I am presence in action, shown as the golden figure in the portrait. The Holy Christ presence is that still small voice of conscience that closely interacts with the four lower bodies. And this is why the Holy Christ presence is depicted in such close proximity to the four lower bodies in the portrait. Notice the golden light energy that flows from the electronic body at the top into the Holy Christ presence, and within it, a smaller flow shown in white that represents the portion that goes to the four lower bodies. This flow is exuberant, vivifying life energy. It is often referred to as liquid light energy. And in accord with cosmic law, that energy must be returned back to the presence. We call this the figure eight flow. And of all things, the nexus or crossing point of that figure eight flow is the Holy Christ presence. Now, the crystal cord energy allotted to the mankind of Earth in general is just enough to sustain life, but not to bring in a golden age. To bring in a golden age requires not only a greater release of power, but more importantly, the Christ consciousness. If a more substantial release of light were to flow directly to the people of Earth, things would be different. people would be, well, like gods. And such has been the case in the past golden ages, when the ascended masters and unascended Christed ones walked the earth together. In those times, unascended man had the same capabilities as the ascended masters. So in the next slide, we see the individual bodies and universal realms side by side. From it, we can see that there is a connection from the mighty I am presence in the one to the electronic body in the great central sun, to the causal body in the nirvanic realm, to the Holy Christ presence in the Buddhic realm, and the four lower bodies in the mental, emotional, and physical realms. Now, if we focus on the Holy Christ presence, above it, we see the causal body, which Thelma talked about last week. And it is depicted as concentric rainbow bands of attainment associated with the seven rays. This causal body resides in the nirvanic realm, and its main quality is sound and vibration. Also, it's our divine memory and our treasure laid in heaven, as Jesus called it. Below the Holy Christ presence are the four lower bodies, the the memory, mental, emotional, and physical bodies. And these are vehicles of the outer consciousness of the I am present in the planes of appearance, which include the mental, emotional, and physical realms. We'll talk about these in more detail in session number 6 in a couple of weeks. But the key takeaway of this slide is that the Holy Christ presence and the Buddhic realm reside in the middle between the higher realms and lower ones. This highlights the all important role of the Christ as mediator. I think all would agree that for there to be the release of a tremendous amount of spiritual power into, through, and around the people of planet Earth, there must be the Christ consciousness acting in individuals. Without it, we would continue to have human chaos and folly, only magnified on a grand scale. Therefore, the Holy Christ presence cannot be sidestepped, circumvented, or pushed away in any way. And that's because its role is so crucial. That role is to be the mediator responsible for receiving what's in the higher realms and bringing it into manifestation in the lower ones. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven. Now let's step back a little bit and consider that what's at the top in the one is absolute unity, changeless, unknowable, ineffable, and beyond even the great central sun. Contrast that with the lower realms at the other end of the scale, where everything is differentiated. It's a work in progress, always changing and becoming, and operating at lower vibrations. As a result, the lower realms cannot fully hold that which is above and must manifest it through cycles of time. And to use the words of Plato, he said that it is a moving image of eternity. He also said that that which is never becomes, and that which becomes never is. Food for thought. So the unfoldment of God's will, call it providence, is intricately worked out in advance, manifested over time, and requiring the Holy Christ presence that sees both sides to be the mediator between what's above and what's below. God, the mighty I am presence, does not leave its oneness, but uses the expression of itself as the Holy Christ presence to carry out its will down here below. Note that the mighty I am presence is not oblivious to the goings on down here, only that it knows the things here by the law of itself, which is total perfection. It sees only the good, It sees only the good in each and every one of us. It has an ideal, divine vision of each and every one of us. This is also the standard of the disciples of Saint Germain, who, upon hearing reports of imperfection, do not revolve them, but rather make the calls on the conditions that they have the authority to heal and to correct. Other than that, they adopt the posture of the presence itself, seeing through appearance and imperfection to the changeless perfection that is really at the core of everything. At the core of everything around us is the God presence. It is behind everything. Furthermore, the Christ is the conductor that lowers that which is unmoved, eternal, all at once into the cycles of time and space, where things are deployed across time. And it has at its disposal a full array of the forms that are in the great central sun. And it uses these to create and sustain vast systems of worlds. In another sense, the Holy Christ presence harmonizes everything through the golden plume of wisdom, which is the foreknowledge of what is good. For example, the Holy Christ presence lowers its individual divine plan of its own mighty I am presence into manifestation, and it does so with mastery. Its timing is not too soon, not too late, and its actions are geared to the circumstances that surround it, done in such a way as to engender the most fruitful outcome. What it produces harmonizes with what already exists and provides a foundation that elevates that which comes after it. And of all things, by fulfilling its own individual divine plan, the Holy Christ presence also advances the entire plan of providence, God's holy will in the golden age of planet Earth. Now, speaking of harmony, it's interesting that the ancient Greek word for fastening things together is harmonia. The lashings that fashion the planks of a ship together were called harmonia by the ancient Greeks. And just like a ship, the creation itself has parts, it has pieces, it has joints and seams, and it is assembled over time based on a plan or a blueprint that defines the whole thing from the parts that make it up. On the one hand, the Holy Christ presence sees the creation in its complete and perfect state because it has access to the higher realms where things are already done and completed. They're perfected, which is actually the meaning of the word perfect, which it really means complete. And on the other hand, the Holy Christ presence sees its partial fulfillment here below and has the wisdom and the knowledge to advance it forward. The Holy Christ presence is able to do this because it is in constant communion with the mighty I am presence. And it's always keeping the first commandment: I shall have no other gods before me. It knows that God is the doer and accepts nothing less. It dutifully expresses and unfolds its own mighty I am presence here below. And this can't be emphasized enough, for there are false gods in the world, and lots of them: political, societal, scientific, academic, religious, you name it. Even one's outer self and one's pet ideas about the way that things should be can be considered false gods. The antidote for this is to know who you are and why you came here. Now, I started this presentation by saying that what is good is not a matter of opinion or debate here below, for that has already been decided and foreordained. Now, if our true identity is that very same mighty I am presence that we've been learning about throughout this entire series, and most assuredly it is, I have to ask, Did we not all have a hand in authoring cosmic law ourselves? That's something to think about. The goddess of light says that there is that marked day when the initiate looks out through the eyes of their presence and no longer seeing duality, but on the contrary, only seeing oneness right through to the physical world and everything in between. And this is all possible because all of the realms we've been speaking of, however exalted they may be, are literally inside the presence of God. The presence is the master of them all, and its greatness, majesty, and power exceed them by an inconceivable degree. So great is the presence. Finally, the Holy Christ presence embodies the Christ virtues and qualities. We will speak about them in a bit, but suffice to say for now that our decree book is filled with them. If you want to learn about the qualities of the Christ, do the decrees and also study the decrees. So given all that, we hope that you see that the role of the Holy Christ presence is a very compelling one. Let's talk about the Buddhic realm for a moment. As we said before, the Holy Christ presence resides in the Buddhic realm. But where is the Buddhic realm exactly? Do we have to go on a spaceship to go there? Actually, the answer is no. And it is no because we don't need to. The Buddhic realm is actually swirling all around us all the time. It never sleeps. In fact, our bodies are nestled within the Buddhic realm. And the Buddhic, in turn, is nestled within the nirvanic within the great central sun, and the great central sun within the one. Everything is within the one God. All the realms are right here around us. It is not by outer travel that we access them, but rather through a shift in consciousness. This is why the very rocks in Mineral Kingdom sing the song of God. They are constantly bathed in God's vibrations, rhythms, and energies. They are literally made up of God's substance, inside and out, seen and unseen. Saint Germain, as Plato called the earth and the whole of reality, one living being. And we can see why. Monroe Shearer recently said that should that swirling vibration stop at any given level, all below it would vanish. And this is what Jesus meant when he said, if they should keep quiet, the very stones would cry out. Another aspect that is so very important about the Buddhic realm is the quality of universal awareness that resides there. In the Buddhic realm, we are not limited to one focus of awareness. In that realm, there is the sensation that we are everywhere within it. And our awareness can be at multiple places at once. And to move from place to place requires only a change in the focus of attention. At a glance, we can take in the totality of that world and all its circulating liquid light currents all at once. And this is what the ascended master Lanello meant when he said, I am here and I am there. Behold, I am everywhere in the consciousness of God. So man is not an island. although he may think he is. And the feeling of being separate and alone is merely the result of limited consciousness, which is but an appearance and not reality. For in truth, the presence of God is one throughout the entire and whole of reality and beyond. Also, the Buddhic realm holds connection to the realms above and below it. It abides upon the foundation of the harmony and resonances of the nirvanic realm above it. And the nirvanic realm, in turn, is ringing like a bell with the sonic waves resounding and reverberating to what is above it in the great central sun, the realm of eternal being. And we see throughout the entire great chain of being, all throughout the realms, top to bottom, there are no gaps. Everything is interconnected, and there is communion between all of the realms. The Buddhic realm is the field also of service of our beloved Helios and Vesta, who are the sun behind the sun. We think about it in the physical plane. The sun is 93 million miles away. But in the Buddhic realm, every part of that paradise kingdom of Helios and Vesta is just a thought away. And thus there is a profound sense of oneness there. I love what Helena Blavatsky said about it. She said that its center is everywhere and its circumference is nowhere. What a beautiful way of expressing it. What does this mean for planet Earth and the great golden age of Saint Germain? Well, it means absolutely everything. For without this oneness, mankind operates out of the lower bodies, independent of the whole order of reality which is above it, following a path of karma, haphazard, subject to whim, cut off from the fullness of the providential care that is its birthright. And what manifests is not a golden age, but its opposite, unreality, where the sheep lead the sheep and the goats lead the goats, as Plato once said. And forever, things like the truth are subject to assault. However, given the expanded awareness of the Buddhic realm, the Holy Christ presence has the coin of vantage, and through it, the means to bring in a golden age. And we see this pictured and captured in the following painting, where the people in it are looking at the goings on in the bay as from a high citadel, fully apprised of everything that is below. Now, years back, the Buddha consciousness was also described for us by Jesus. And I quote, "The days I knew with thee, O Father, before the world was, the days of triumph, when all the thoughts of thy being soared over the ageless hills of cosmic memory, come again as I meditate upon thee. I ride with thee upon the mantle of the clouds. I walk with thee upon the waves and crests of waters' abundance. I move with thee in the undulation of thy currents, passing over the thousands of hills composing earth's crust. I am alive with thee in each bush, flower, and blade of grass. All nature sings in thee and me, for we are one." Thank you, beloved Jesus. So in summary, the Holy Christ presence is the mighty I am presence in action that uses the expanded consciousness of the Buddhic realm in its creative work of lowering a golden age. And it is a challenging work. And being a Christ is really something in the entire cosmos. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. So we have to ask ourselves through all this knowledge that we have, how do we actually anchor this Christ consciousness, this holy Christ presence that's so magnificent? It's totally in tune with the presence of God always. How do we establish it where we are?
As we enter, thank you, Clyde. That's wonderful. As we enter into the understanding of the expressions of the mighty I am presence in each plane of consciousness, the closest to the presence of God that we have the ability to enter into is the Holy Christ presence. It is as close as a breath away and a heartbeat away from our physical heart. In this portrait, we see that the Holy Christ presence overshadows and envelops the physical body. Monroe Shear, in one of his discourses, said that the Holy Christ presence is as close as a breath away. What a profound revelation. So, how do we tangibly feel and know the Holy Christ presence? Above all else, we must elevate our attention and attune to this vehicle of expression as the Holy Grail of the four lower bodies, so that these four lower bodies are welcoming and invocative of the overshadowing of the Holy Christ presence, which is close at hand. If we know that our Holy Christ presence is the mind of God, is the pulsation of God, is the very expression of the mighty I am presence that operates in the Buddhic realm, and that realm is no more than a higher frequency away from our four lower bodies, then we surely must know and understand our Holy Christ presence just as much as we know our four lower bodies. We must live our Holy Christ presence just as we live our four lower bodies. We must feel the pulsations of our Holy Christ presence as the highest attenuated vehicle of expression of the mighty I am presence that is ever so close at hand. The Holy Christ presence has a coign of vantage, as Clyde had said, and a perspective of one's predicament in life. It is rooted, it is centered, it is anchored, and it is seated in the dynamo of the heart of God. Our four lower bodies are also vehicles of expression of our mighty I am presence in this world of form. Therefore, we must love it, we must take care of it, and we must always strive to make it whole and pure as it is meant to be. Our goal is twofold. The first is to raise the consciousness of our four lower bodies to the Buddhic realm of our Holy Christ presence. And the second is to have the transfer of the mind of God operating through the Holy Christ presence into these four lower bodies to displace the mundane and all of our human thought and feeling. As we keep these goals alive and constant, we rise in consciousness to the realms of our Holy Christ presence. The Holy Christ presence adjudicates and meters out the love and light of our mighty I am presence, and in doing so, seeks to blend, harmonize with the four lower bodies. You will, to your own amazement, discover as you walk with your Holy Christ presence day and night, as you hallow your life, as you make holy your experience from hour to hour, from day to day, so that your Holy Christ presence may remain in that close outer communion with your outer self more and more. There will exude from you a perfume that is uniquely yours, and a greater sunrise of dawning awareness of the nature of your own beloved mighty I am presence. The Holy Christ presence knows the heart, the mind, and the consciousness of the mighty I am presence, and is able to freely communicate these things to the outer consciousness. The Holy Christ presence gives stimulus through imparting divine thoughts, God determination, and love through the threefold flame. It engages in all details of our daily lives as we operate in this world of form. It directs our affairs in accordance with the divine plan of the God presence for our lives. The Holy Christ presence understands the interrelationship of all the components of every situation and is able to grasp the totality of each situation instantly. It is that great observer, able to look dispassionately at our lives and feels and knows every nuance of our thoughts and feelings. Unlike the four lower bodies, the Holy Christ presence is undisturbed by any discord that most often permeates the human consciousness. It remains tethered to the perfection. It maintains Christ's discrimination and the ability to know what is real from illusion, the world in which the four lower bodies operates out of. It is able to discern karmic entanglements and knows the way of deliverance from it. The Holy Christ presence is the greatest comforter in the midst of all that is uncomfortable. When there is communion with the Holy Christ presence, there is a feeling of unwonement and a supreme confidence and assurance that God is in control of all things, most especially our lives and expressions. The Holy Christ presence speaks as the still small voice of our hearts. Some time ago, on the 29th of March in 2017, Serapis Bey gave a dictation which was extremely powerful and monumental. Let me read to you two paragraphs from that particular dictation. The challenge then becomes whether or not you have the training in your outer vehicles to maintain that purity. Do you have the discipline to keep watch so that you do not allow for the lowering of the vibration of your vehicles of consciousness back into the level of unreality that do not allow for the Holy Christ presence to abide? That is the test. As you move forward in your study and disciplines of the teachings of the Ascended Masters, you begin to realize that many of the areas of consciousness that you have entertained in the past have suddenly disappeared, and you only remember them because you see a snapshot or a photo or some other live stream had reminded you of an occasion. But that vibration, that habit, that momentum that you had established has been gone so long that unless you were reminded, you would not have known that it had been a part of your life. So the key point is that we raise our consciousness to the level of the Holy Christ presence that is completely undisturbed in its own realm, the Buddhic realm. Thank you, beloved Serapis Bey, for those wonderful words.
Thank you, Barbara. That was beautiful. Wanted to follow up the reading that Barbara gave by beloved Serapis Bey. with one by Lord Maitreya. Now, Lord Maitreya is the cosmic Christ. He's the planetary Buddha, and he's the representative of Christ universally, and just such a magnificent individual. And this is what Lord Maitreya had to say back in May 2010, and this is just an excerpt of just a wonderful dictation that he gave. And he said, I quote, "Oh, what a beautiful plan God has wrought for the presence to learn how to create. Your presence is glorious indeed, and it has much that it desires to bring forth. But these vehicles that you wear must be responsive for them to be truly the vehicles of God. Let your body temple forever be the presence of God as you live, move, breathe, and become the Christ where you are. Make yourself available to the presence, to the ascended masters and cosmic beings, so that you might more quickly come up in vibration, in wisdom, accelerating your vehicles of consciousness, so that you may be crowned with illumination's flame, so that you may stream forth the love of God. And so when the presence desires the power of God under the God control of the will of the presence, it will be able to move mountains." Thank you, beloved Lord Maitreya. So how do we make these vehicles we wear the vehicles of God? Well, we can avail ourselves of all the things that have been given to us. We have the Ascended Masters, the anointed representatives. We have the services that are occurring on a weekly basis, dictations and discourses, special events. We have our magnificent quarterly conferences in Acropolis Sophia's, and all the tools and gifts that have been given to us to enter into the consciousness of our Holy Christ presence. Prayers and decrees, dispensations, meditations, and the study of cosmic law, which we are partaking of this very night. One of the things that the masters continually stress and is of great importance, and that is engaging in decree work. And we do this, when we do this, we are invoking the light of our own mighty iron presence from our electronic body, qualified by the attainment of our causal body for our personal development as well as for world service. Please keep in mind are not so much a supplication, but rather affirmations and commands. As it is said, concerning the work of my hands, command ye me. Recognizing that the heart flame issuing the call is the Holy Christ presence, the mighty iron presence in action. And this means that it is all right to give your decrees, calls, and invocations with authority. So let us do this as we invoke the Ascended Master Qualities Decree. It's shown on your slide, and it's also on page number 15 of our decree book. Now, to explain this decree a little bit, it is all the Ascended Master Qualities, and you, the torchbearers of the Philippines, have studied this. All the various qualities that are shown here come from the Ruby Chalice visitations of the Mahachohan. So love, harmony, peace, purity, happiness, faith, all the way through, fire. So let us go ahead and give this decree. We're only going to give the first three parts, three stanzas, and then we'll finish up with the end. But give it with the fire of your heart. And if you've read those Ruby Child's visitations, remember those visualizations. And as you give these qualities, put your heart into it, visualize it, and make it real for you. So with that, together. Charge and fill my feeling world with your great ascended master love. Charge and fill my feeling world with your great ascended master love. Charge and fill my feeling world with your great ascended master love. Charge and fill my feeling world with your great ascended master harmony. Charge and fill my feeling world with your great ascended master harmony. Charge and fill my feeling world with your great ascended master harmony. Charge and fill my feeling world with your great ascended master peace. Charge and fill my feeling world with your great ascended master peace. Charge and fill my feeling world with your great ascended master peace. I am the resurrection and the life of the ascended Jesus Christ consciousness in every atom, cell, and electron of my four lower bodies and all my affairs, now made manifest. I am the resurrection and the life of the ascended Jesus Christ consciousness in every atom, cell, and electron of my four lower bodies and all my affairs, now made manifest. I am the resurrection and the life of the ascended Jesus Christ consciousness in every atom, cell, and electron of my four lower bodies and all my affairs, now made manifest. Anything you'd like to add?
We have to, the science of the spoken word is exact. It is true science. And in that science of the spoken word, one of the things that come together in harmony are the your thoughts about it. What do you think about every single word that is written as a decree? And how do you feel about it? Every aspect of emotion that you can garner from your heart can go into it. In that science of the spoken word, therefore, it compels an answer. And when that answer is compelled from our mighty I am presence, there is no time and space that gaps what you are saying in its totality. In fact, when you say, charge and fill my feeling world with your great ascended master love, that love comes pouring forth, greater with such intensity, foot pounds of pressure, greater than the Niagara Falls falling down on someone's head. This is how great and how wonderful these decrees are. The mighty I am presence knows everything. The Holy Christ presence adjudicates what is what the mighty I am presence dictates and what the four lower bodies rises up to the occasion and utters those words. So when you say, "Oh God, you are so magnificent. Oh God, you are so magnificent. Oh God, you are so magnificent. Beloved, I am. Beloved, I am. Beloved, I am." And that magnificence pours forth, tumbling down from the heart of the mighty I am presence into all its expressions, from the electronic body to the causal body, from the causal body to the Christ presence, from the Buddhic realm to the mental, the emotional, and into the physical body. So, when the masters say, in purity, we must approach our Holy Christ presence, our mighty I am presence. That means we hallow the space we are in. Every moment, every every time we think about our God presence, every single moment of our living our lives, this is who we are, the mighty I am presence. And yet, each expression of the mighty I am presence isn't the mighty I am presence. And I'll tell you why. Just take for a moment this physical body. In this physical body, we have the brains, we have the heart, we have our hands, we have all our senses intact. My brain is not Barbara. My heart is not Barbara. My hands aren't Barbara. My five senses, each and every one of them, isn't Barbara. However, in its totality, this is who I am, Barbara, who is the mighty I am presence. So each expression of our four lower bodies, each expression of the in the planes of consciousness, in the great central sun where the electronic body resides, in the causal body where it resides in nirvana, in the Christ presence who resides in the Buddhic realm, and of course our four lower bodies that are here in the physical world. These are all expressions of the mighty I am presence. So can you say any less of who you are? You are the mighty I am presence expressing itself in this world of form.
Wonderful, wonderful. And just to add to what Barbara said, it's um, the Ascended Master teachings are really turning our world around and looking at things as she was communicating, looking at things from a different point of view, not as a small human looking up at all of God, but looking from the point of view of all of God. That marked day that the goddess of light talked about, where you see unity, not duality. And it's you from that magnificent place of God looking down through the planes all the way down into the physical and the magnificence of the presence that we all are. So we are every day revealing and unfolding the presence of God. We're not evolving. We are the mighty I am presence in action. So yes. So with that, do we have do we want to do Q&A?
Ian, do you have any questions that people have that hopefully we can answer? And if we can't answer it, we're willing to research it for you and pass it along.
Okay, everyone. We would like you to invite you to ask questions regarding this topic or in the previous topics that we may direct those questions to Bara and Clyde. Um, just see. So you might write your questions on the chat box if you would like.
Ayan, while the participants are, are writing their questions, maybe you can give your reminders or even have our picture taking
All right.
while everybody's complete still here.
All right. Clyde, Barbara, can you stop your sharing? Let me see if I
What's
can
it? Oh, what's that?
can you stop sharing so I can
Oh,
share
sorry.
it's okay. All right, everyone. Just a couple of announcements, and while everyone's thinking about their questions or writing your questions, um, just to let you know that we have our rosary service with Mother Mary every 7:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. It's just 1 hour, and we give our decrees and prayers, and we dedicate this Wednesday service for the healing of the nations, the healing of ourselves, and even right now, it's more appropriate for the eradication of this pandemic here in the Philippines and around the world. So we do invite you to join us for this 1 hour with our Blessed Mother Mary to give decrees and prayers. And we do listen to some recent excerpts of Beloved Mother Mary. So posted here is the Zoom ID and the passcode. And if you would like to get those decrees and prayers, you may write on the chat box if you would like to get one. So our just like to let you know, we have our next Sunday, our module 5. It's about the threefold flame, the heart of God. It's on August 8th from 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. And this is our Zoom ID and passcode. And our facilitator is Mr. Jimmy Cabangis. Okay. So with that, we're going to have our picture taking so that um, so we can post it already to our groups. Okay. May I ask everyone to come up of their screen? Arulf, Diane, Teresita, uh, Puring, Beth. I think this is Tidi, Resora. Please do come. Vilma, Eliza, Beth, Cindy, you're there. Kevin, Jermaine, Sophia, Ryan, if you're there. Annie, I believe Annie is in the States also. Good morning. Good morning, Cherry there. Jessa, okay. All right, Cindy, Kevin, John, uh, Heidi, if you can come. Okay. All right. Um, all right, there's Christine, Kevin, John. All right, I guess almost ready. Okay, everyone, please do smile on the screen. And this is a couple of shots, so be patient. All right, 1, 2, 3, smile. Our next group, smile, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Okay, our last group, smile, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Wonderful. All right, everyone. If you have any more questions, you please do post them on the chat box.
We have one.
All right, we have one already from Eva. Okay, Eva Akava is asking, okay, how can we constantly connect with our Holy Christ presence? It's difficult to maintain the thought of who we are.
That is true, but it takes training. And as you train perfectly, it comes naturally. Don't be too impatient with yourself. Uh, you know, if we already know from the very beginning of who we are, then as we assert that in our consciousness day in and day out, it will automatically change your perspective from this puny existence of the four lower bodies that is mortal into the existence of immortality. And it is not easy, but it didn't take just one thought for us to be still here an embodiment. We have been here many, many embodiments because we have, there's a lot of conditions that we have to balance. Every jot and tittle of the law has to be balanced. And that means for every misqualification of God's energy, that must be rectified. How? By the power of the violet transmuting flame that has been released to us by beloved Saint Germain in the 30s, um, through forgiveness uh, and forgiving oneself for all the things that we have done, whether we are aware of it or not. And and you don't want to calcal those things in your consciousness because you really don't want to know anything about it anymore. Remember what Serapis Bey in his dictation said, what I read in the excerpt, is that it's gone. And the only time you remember it is if you see a snapshot or a photo or an occasion or somebody had mentioned it to you. Those are the only times it will come to you. So you want to maintain that aspect of understanding that you are the mighty I am presence. And from there you go on. Now, uh, the training that I'm talking about does include education. That means educating ourselves in the instructions of the ascended masters, and that means being in the heart of the ascended masters through their dictations and their discourses to the temple of the presence that are being released um, through the anointed representatives Monroe and Carolyn Shear. Um, and then, of course, the other aspect of it is, so now you have the instructions, then you have to run away with it and become it. So it's just like being a doctor, for example. You, if you're studying to be in, if you're in medical school, you study to be a doctor, but yet you cannot be a doctor until you have gone through years of residency. In other words, you go to the emergency room and you become a doctor there, and you are a part, it becomes a part of you, it becomes natural of you to do that kind of work before you can even get your license as a medical doctor or those acronyms at the end of your name. So it's the same thing. My name is Barbara Laxo, comma, Ascended Master Student. That's the only thing I can say about that. Do you believe in
No, that's actually perfect. Thank you, Barbara.
that? Ian, do you want to read the other?
Okay.
Because I can barely
Um,
see it.
there's another one from Mary Maribay. She wanted to say, first of all, thank you, Clyde and Barbara, for this opportunity to share your learnings about the Holy Christ presence in spite of the time difference across Tucson and Manila. My question is, that still small voice of the Holy Christ presence, can that also be called intuition?
Yes, yes, it can. Although when we consider these things, that the way we said that still small voice, the conscience, it's a quality of the heart and not one that's psychic, something that taps into something that is lower than God. It's really going within to the heart, and as Barbara said, it takes a while. It takes time, and you have to kind of be patient about it. But yeah, in the higher sense of intuition, it is like that still small voice. So yes.
The other thing I wanted to add to that, Clyde, thank you so much for that, is the fact that, there are times when there's something in you that dictates, it. There is no vacillation, there is no doubt, there is no fear. You just know it to be truth. That is the musings of the heart, and that is the still small voice. In the Bible, one of the prophets, I think it was Samuel, who was woken in the middle of the night, and because he heard the voice of God. And when he arose, the first thing he said was, "Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth." Now, he didn't continue sleeping. He didn't say, "You know what, I'll check you out later. I'll think about it tomorrow." No, he stood up, got up from bed, and he said, "Lord, Lord God, say what you need to say. I am here to do thy bidding." That is the still small voice that up, wakes you up in the stupor of this mundane living.
All right. Another question from Elizabeth Tungol. She asks, when we are in pain, difficult or challenging situations, what do we do to keep our faith or maintain our consciousness of the mighty I am presence?
Well, first and foremost, there are drugs you can take, like Tylenol, to get that pain out of your system. The moment you feel pain, now I'm talking about real pain, okay? Not I think I'm feeling pain, so I'm going to go ahead and take some drugs. No, I'm talking about feeling pain that immediately puts stress on your four lower bodies, not just on the physical, but on the emotional, the mental, everything about you is in pain. Okay. There are drugs for that you can alleviate. That's why it has its own place. You need to come to a point where that stress is gone, where you can be centered once again. It is that centering into the heart and the mind of God that keeps you in total alignment. When you are in total alignment, you can focus on the mighty I am presence. Decrease will help. But first and foremost, you got to take care of that physical body. If you need to lay down, lie down to ease the body from that pain, go ahead and do it. Don't wait. Because the longer you wait, the greater the nagging of that pain is going to hit your physical body. Then you are unable to do the work that your mighty I am presence wants you to do at that moment in time.
I'll just add too that when we see imperfections outside of ourselves, as I talked about earlier, we're always looking for the perfection seen through that outer circumstance, that situation, the craziness, the chaos, the folly, the all that's happening in the world, and we have to look through it and understand that behind it is God's energy being tied up in maybe situations that aren't the best. And that's really the case when we have issues of healing in our disease in our bodies or whatever, those things happen. We have to see through it. So those times when those things are outside of us, it's almost like training. We have to train ourselves to think about what is true and real. We have to understand within ourselves and get straight within ourselves those things that are of God, the love of God, to see God in nature in all things. And when those things, those troubles, those difficulties come upon ourselves, that training really puts us in good stead because we can see through that imperfection, see through to the perfection, and keep on keeping on. And as someone, one wise man once said, this too shall pass. And in the ascension uh, to the mighty I am presence from the four lower bodies, the resurrection, the ascension, and all the initiations afterwards. This is such a beautiful thing that the mighty I am presence has brought forth. And we have some challenges. We will admit that, but we need to cut through those and and see what the goal is and see the beauty of God's plan and creation and the fact that we're all part of it. I hope that helps.
Now, although we come from the health industry, I mean, we really don't, we're not proponents of drugs. I just want to make sure that you realize we do live, we try to live a very healthy life. So,
All right. Another question from Annie S. How can we be more in tune with our Holy Christ presence amidst our everyday challenge? You mentioned we constantly get these messages throughout the day.
yes. I think
Well, I think the key thing for us is, and I mentioned this before, is that all the magnificent qualities, expressions, virtues are all in our decree book. And that's why we're supposed to give the decrees on a daily basis,
Yeah.
is to constantly bring up that memory of what's true and good in the midst of returning karma and situations that are occurring in our lives. So I would say number one thing is the decrees, the meditation, the study of cosmic law, attend the Sunday services, attend the weekly services, the Wednesday service, um, staff decrees, Friday service, Saturday, Sunday, what have you. Make it part of your life. And when you make it part of your life, you make it quote unquote like a habit,
Mhm.
a good habit. It constantly brings you back no matter what happens outside of you. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's oh, one thing I wanted to mention to you. When yeah, I was talking about the science of the spoken word. When you utter the decrees in the conscious cosmic Christ command, in the command of the mighty I am presence to the Christ presence, um, that utterance in the scientific um, aspect of it hollows space. Why? Because the frequency and the vibration and the oscillation of the waves of the decrees that you utter cleanses your whole area of of your existence. In other words, you know, if your tube of light, for example, is 10 feet tall and 21 feet wide, 21 feet tall and 10 feet wide, for example, that whole um, diameter or
Fine.
that whole place, that space is hallowed. Uh, when you do your decrees, whatever that tries to penetrate it, and most especially those that we call mass consciousness, you know, there are
Mm.
things sometimes that come into our mind, and you know full well that it's not something that you ever thought of. Now, where did that come from? Many times you ask yourself, and the way to be able to get that out of your mind is not to um, throw yourself into it, but rather do a decree. And sometimes you don't, if you are already at that point where you know you can center yourself and align yourself to the mighty I am presence, and only Christ presence at a given moment, those come naturally. I promise you, they will come naturally. That at the point when those thoughts come through and that you do not enter into those thought patterns, they immediately come off your consciousness, or it hallows your space
Mm.
by saying, "Oh God, I love you." When you want to be the true identity of your mighty I am presence, you have to live God. You have to love God. You have to breathe God. You have to eat God. Everything you do is God. God, God, God. Mighty I am presence. Beloved, mighty I am presence. In fact, even if you were to train yourself just to utter the words, beloved, mighty I am presence, take command. That training will put you in very good stead. So as you move forward and this becomes a part of your training, a part of your life, and you make the determination and you tell yourself from this moment forward, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to utter the words, mighty I am presence, take command of my life. And you just say it over and over and over again. It becomes that part of you.
Wonderful, Barbara. Uh, I love the idea of hallowing space when you give your decrees.
Yeah.
Uh, not only this space, maybe the whole world.
The whole
Yeah.
world, yeah. You know, the sky's the limit.
All right. And a question from June Mendoza. Is the Buddhic field the same as the unified field?
Barbara's looking at me now.
This is your area of expertise.
You know what? I'm not a physicist. My area has been math and computer science, and now theology and Greek studies, and obviously I've done a master's studies. But if you mean by that, June, the unified field, more of, a broader sense of that term, not the one that's used in physics. Yes, the Buddhic plane would be a unified field. It's a Buddhic web. It's an entire oneness. But the oneness of the Buddhic plane is profound, but the oneness of the next plane up, the nirvanic, is magnificent. And then the great central sun, of course, and that's even more of a unified field. And then the ultimate, the absolute unity, unified field, if you want to call it, it's not even a unified field, is the realm of the one. So, yes, yes, it is. And God is one throughout everything. There is has happened here, and Saint Germain explains it, and I think in a couple of weeks you may talk about it when you talk about the four lower bodies. But on planet Earth, there's been a bit of a separation that has occurred. Man has been separated from God, and we're working our way back. So it too, all the way down to the mental, the emotional, and the physical planes, it's really meant to be, as Saint Germain, as Plato once said, it's it's really meant to be one living being, and it's God that's doing the work. In other words, it's everything's coming from above down. It's the mighty I Am presence enfolding itself. It's not beings down here doing things and somehow connecting to God and making that communion and relationship. Everything comes from the top, and it's God's plan of providence unfolding what He's doing. And I think, as everybody would agree, creating things is just a joy, a magnificent thing that we all love to do. So, God, you are so magnificent. So, anything to
Thank you
add
for
about
that.
the unified field?
Eva, thank you so much for your kind words. That is so sweet of you.
Okay, another question from well, there's two questions. I'll just read one first from
Mhm.
Janelle Gilliam. Is it possible for the Holy Christ presence to hypnotize the follower bodies so it becomes more responsive to the will of the I am presence?
No, no. Every expression of the mighty I am presence abides by God's will. So if the expression of the four lower bodies here below in the physical realm operating out of this world of form, your thought, you have your own will, your thought, your emotions. Yeah, they always talk about how the mind wants to go here and the emotion wants to go there. Those are guided by the individual will of that expression. So it goes against cosmic law for any of the expressions of the mighty I am presence to dictate what should be done. Everything is guided by the will, and hopefully every aspect of the expression of the mighty I am presence abides by God's will. And I'm talking about the four lower bodies because that's where it becomes nebulous and dangerous, shall we say.
Well, this is really a great question because
Yeah.
it demonstrates this thing about God and cosmic law. And that is that regardless, cosmic law still is cosmic law no matter what happens. So free will is there, and the Ascended Masters and the Mighty I Am Presence respects that cosmic law, respects your being, the law of your being at this level. It's called the law of octaves, whereby the next level up doesn't impose, hypnotize, or make or force anything to happen. All of it is through free will. And that really goes back to the very beginning, right up in the one, the I am presence in the beginning. There's the one, and the one is emanating its beautiful energies, and the one expects nothing. It just totally gives. There's no expectation. Where the whole idea of God's will and providence comes in is those highest beings, the mighty I am presence itself, we call it the great I am. From the great I am down, there's all, at each level, there is a manifestation, there is some form of free will. And just like it was in the beginning. And I did mention this too as well, is that if we are the mighty I am presence, and I said most assuredly we are, and we're right up there at the top of God, when all this was developed, all this was put forward, we actually ourselves were the authors of cosmic law and of providence. So it behooves us to follow the will of our own being, follow the law of our own being, and get in alignment, so to speak, as they say these days, get with the program. We're all attempting to do that. So thank you for that question. Beautiful
It's a
question.
beautiful question.
Number
But there
two.
was there was a second question to that.
Another question is, does the Christ consciousness is the same with what they called in Buddhism as Buddhic consciousness?
Well, yes, I mean, you're talking about the words itself, yes. But in Buddhism, they have a completely different idea of what that consciousness is. And we don't go there because we haven't studied any of that.
Yeah, I think all these terms, I'm not sure, again, what exactly in Buddhism the word Buddha consciousness means.
Yeah.
But you can take any word from any mystical orientation, be it Hindu, um, be it the Jewish religion, going back to the time of Zoroaster. All the various religions have different ways of saying essentially the same thing. So yeah, you could map it or equate it, but to try to do that here, we're not going to. So, sorry about that.
Okay, another question, Clyde, from Grace Hagaman. When you are aware that you are slowly acquiring your Holy Christ self and yet are still affected by negative behaviors of some people, how do you proceed to hold on to your Christ self? How do you proceed?
Really goes back to that idea of training yourself to see. I mean, the Christ, right? We talked about the Christ as being exactly what this question is asking. The Christ is what sees the perfection above. And it also is in that position where it can see the imperfection. And it doesn't force the imperfection to be perfect. It doesn't force something. What it does is it sees through the imperfection to perfection. It holds, like Mother Mary. Mother Mary holds the Immaculate Concept for everyone. I mean, that's her attainment. She held it for Jesus, and now she holds it for the entire planet.
In the universe.
In the universe. And that's the kind of multiplication that took place within her heart as part of her ascension. So I would say, pray to Mother Mary and hold the stance of Mother Mary and all the ascended masters, Saint Germain, all of them, and even the one, the good, even at the highest levels. God only knows our good things, always holds the divine vision of what and who we are, and we should do the same thing. And that's what the students of Saint Germain do. And not to say that could be done at the snap of a finger. That may require some practice. Good luck.
Ian, can you reiterate that question again. There's something in there that I want to address. I think it's in the beginning of the question.
Okay, this is from Grace, right? When you are aware that you are slowly acquiring your Holy Christ self,
Okay, you can stop there.
there.
Um, the acquisition of the Holy Christ self is a misnomer because the Holy Christ presence is a presence, not a self. And the Holy Christ presence is is an expression of the mighty I am presence. So we do not acquire those uh, because it is the totality of the mighty I am presence as the mighty I am presence, as the God presence. It's just like me and my heart, or me and my brains, me and my thoughts, or me and my emotions. There is never a separation there, even though you can compartmentalize each aspect of it. The totality of who I am in this world of form includes everything that is part of me, that is in me. So I just wanted to mention that we do not acquire that. We do gain and expand an understanding and awareness of the Christ presence and the role of the Christ presence as the mediator and the adjudicator that meters out the light, the energy, the love, the will from the mighty I am presence, and transfers it over to where it needs to go. It's the one that adjudicates that aspect of it to where our needs are.
Okay. This is from Raymond
Yeah.
Kilob. Thank you for that wonderful talk. I don't know if I just missed it, but given the many possible labels of names that could be given, why is Holy Christ presence the one used?
The word Christ, I mean, goes back to the Greek. It means anointed one. Obviously, it goes back to Christianity. But also, too, is that and this goes back to the beginning of the Ascended Master teachings in the Green Books and the uh, in of Godfrey and Lotus back in the 1930s. And so they called it. They began to call it there the Holy Christ self. And to get away from the idea of it being another self, Monroe and Carolyn and the Ascended Masters decided now to call it the Holy Christ Presence. So it has thousands of years of history behind it. The Christ has always been that mediator, the one in the middle, that takes what's in the presence and relates it down to what's lower. I mean, it's a very general principle. There's the concept of the universal Christ that's been there since the early centuries of Christianity. So yeah, it's a name, it's a word that has a lot of built up meaning. I think you would agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Another one from Elizabeth Tungol. If everything is from God, are the challenging, difficult manifestations or imperfections happening in the world right now are also from God's energy?
Nothing that is less than nothing less than that is perfection exists in the realm of our mighty iron presence, or in the realm of God. Everything from the mighty iron presence to the great central sun where our electronic body resides, to the nirvana, to the causal body where our causal body resides in nirvana, to the Holy Christ presence in the Buddhic realm where our Holy Christ presence resides. Nothing that is less than perfection ever exists in those worlds, in those realms of expression, of existence, in those planes of existence. Once we dip down below, from starting from the higher mental body, is where and those are in the physical it's these are where the four lower bodies operate out of, and these are all in the physical realm. This is where imperfection begins. Why? Because The four lower bodies wants to assert its own will, and it has seated in instead of the mighty iron presence and the Holy Christ presence, its own ego. And it will defend its survival at all costs until a student realizes, why am I fighting it? The one who is in charge is the mighty I am presence. I'm just gonna let the mighty I am presence take control. So no imperfections happening in this world right now that you actually want to be a part of. Because if you are the mighty I am presence, those things don't exist. Now you can say, well, I can see it. Well, you can choose not to look at it. And you can maintain your poise and your alignment with the rest of the expressions of the mighty I am presence in all its plane of existence.
I'll add to that. So the part of the last part of the question is it all from God's energy? Yes, everything here is God's energy, but is it God's will? Um, that's something you're going to have to take up with your presence. I mean, there's a lot of chaos and folly, I would say, that's going on right now. And this is kind of the double-edged sword of being a Christed one, of being a mighty on presence, right? You have free will. You can take God's energy and create chaos. And I think that's what's happening now. So it's taking God's energy and misusing it. And that's why it's so important to connect with what's above, into the Buddhic plane, the higher planes, connect through your heart with 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 the Christ, to be able to know what to do, to be able to create the way God creates, to be able to be part of the overall plan of God, and get back in alignment. And I think I will say today, many folks in society and all the various parts of it are orbiting false gods and giving their energies to false gods who, like Barbara's saying, want to survive on the energy of God, but not get in alignment with the holy plan of God. So obviously, the torchbearers of the temple are different and want to be attuned to the will of God and manifest that will of God. So thank you for that.
The other thing I wanted to add on that, forgive me, is that imperfection, yes, it is God's energy, and that imperfection has now been misqualified. And remember, I mentioned that every jot and tittle of the law, which means every aspect of God's energy that have been misqualified, must be transmuted. There's no two ways about it.
And the reason for that, as we talked about it, is the figure eight flow. Everything eventually goes back to God. But it doesn't go back to God unless it's purified, right? God, it just wouldn't go back. It wouldn't be acceptable. So when it's not acceptable, it hangs around down here in these planes. And the word for that is karma. And as Barbara said, that has to be transmuted. When it's transmuted, everything gets freed. Everything, when it gets freed, it runs back to God. Everything
Right.
wants to be close to the one.
Yeah.
So there's another question here, Ian.
Yeah.
Any short tips on how to achieve the ascended master poise? Very good question, because I believe there's no Ruby Child's visitation for poise. Okay, I get a couple of that question. Okay, I'll answer it. I tuned into the Mahachuan, and it's really pretty much like the Mahachuan, a very short answer, which will be good for you. And I think it's really poise is, I always think about it as equilibrium and going within, being at the center. And what is the center? The center of ourselves is the heart. So to be within the heart, not within the mind, and to be in that state of equilibrium, which is poise.
Yes. Perfect.
All right. There's a question from Heidi Alvarez. How about when we surrender our free will to the will of the I am presence? Will it make things perfect for us?
Yes, the moment you surrender to God's will, that perfection floods forth. The question is, are you prepared? Are you a chalice that's prepared to accept that? That is the $64,000 question. And if you are, oh my goodness, you're well on your way to the goal of the ascension.
All
That's
right.
when you start living, by the way. Ascension is the beginning of living.
Here's a question on the ascension. Janelle Galia asks, what will happen to the Holy Christ presence after the ascension? Will it dissolve like the fall of our bodies? Thank you, Clyde and Barbara.
Yeah, through the ascension process, the four lower bodies are consumed, absorbed into the presence, as well as the Holy Christ presence, and even the elements of some elements of the nirvanic realm of our identity, and they're assumed up into the electronic body. So that's the top figure in the portrait of the presence. That you could say is, I mean, that's a body, but it's um, us at that level. That's really our true identity, which is that is the first expression of the mighty I am presence. So we go back, all of us go back, but there's other initiations beyond that. There's initiation to become a cosmic being with your twin flame.
Creators of worlds.
Helios and Vesta, for example, our sun system, their realm of service is in the Buddhic realm. Now, just because these bodies are consumed up, we do have the ability to create a Christ body or create even a physical body after our ascension if there's some things that need to be done in this world of form. I mean, Monroe has talked about recently, and other um, in the green books, it talks about ascended masters walking the streets of the city. I mean, if that's something that an ascended master needs to do, they're because they have the experience, they can take that energy themselves from the electronic body, radiate it through the various realms, and create all the way down to a physical body. And that can be done immediately. So it doesn't require the whole thing that we go through with embodiment,
Incarnations and
incarnation, and all
birth and
that.
death.
So it's going to be better. That's all I have to say.
But only to the extent that the ascended masters do come down in physical form is something that is um, agreed upon at that level with the karmic members of the karmic board, because there must be a need for it. Otherwise, an ascended master typically, if it's their role, if it's part of their divine plan of the mighty I of their mighty I am presence, then definitely yes. But other than that, it's not something that's done on a regular basis.
All right, Barbara, Clyde, there's no more. Oh, there's one. All right. Well, okay. I think Grace Sagaman just wanted to know. Maybe it's directed to me. Anyway, there's no more questions. Um,
Okay.
would you like me to
I
play?
I have yeah. Let me um let me close, and then do you still want to close?
I just wanted to really thank all of you. Um, Barbara and I have been giving these presentations for quite a number of years,
Yeah.
and never before have we gotten such wonderful questions.
And just
They
the
are just,
enthusiasm and the excitement.
they really show you guys have a lot of knowledge
Yeah.
and interest, and they really, the questions, that every one of them kind of gets to the heart
Right.
of what we talked about. So thank you very, very much.
Are we still gonna play the replay? No. Ian, it's really up to you because I don't know what your schedule is. We're going to go to bed. It's 2:45 here in the morning.
Well,
But I
I
don't want to
think
close. Huh?
I think it's already okay, everyone. If you yeah, I think everyone's good already. I think that everyone has already asked their questions. So, and okay,
Okay, let me close then.
okay. What?
So we have come to the very nexus of Ekadeus. Behold, the God realized man. We are that Ekadeus. We are that God realized man, ever expanding our awareness of the presence of God, whom we are. So I implore you to continue and to stay tuned with us throughout the course of all these presentations in the coming weeks as those aha moments of understanding become more frequent and more exhilarating in your life. We gain a better sense of freedom from the shackles of mortality and seek to enter into the realms of immortality while we are in embodiment. Life is truly exciting. You know how to live it right. So next week, you know what you are going to be about. But before you get there, remember there are so many services you can attend, especially the Mother Mary healing service on Wednesday. Thank you, everyone. And God bless you all.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Clyde and Barbara.
Barbara, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank
Very
you. Thank you very
enlightening.
much. Thank you.
Kevin.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Barbara
you.
and
Thank
Clyde.
you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Yan.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
everyone.
much.
Okay, yes.
Mention the critical role that Clyde and Barbara had for history here in the Philippines. It was Clyde and Barbara who did who did the due diligence for us to ensure that we are into the correct and the truth of these teachings. So Barbara connected with us when she discovered this teaching, and lo and behold, the whole tribe and do the whole thing, and now the whole group. This is the first time in the world that the whole group transferred to the Temple of the Presence. Thank you very much, Barbara, for your historic, shall I say, intervention for our path. And Clyde,
Thank
thank you
you
Yeah.
so
so
much.
much.
Thank
It's
you.
Saint Germain all the way. Saint
Thank
Germain
you.
all the way. Thank you.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Clyde.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Jen.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Janice.
Kansa, Eva,
Thank you,
for those
Silva.
who have asked questions. Hi,
Jimmy.
Janelle, Grace. Thank you so much for asking your
Thank you,
question.
Bear.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Janelle.
Hopefully next time we'll see you again, huh?
Yes, we love your
Thank you so much. God bless. God victory.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you so
Thanks, everyone.
much.
Good night.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, buds. Rafi, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Harold,
Thank you,
and
everyone. Good
Thank you.
Tito Pilar, thank you, Sila.
See you Wednesday.
See you Wednesday, everyone.
See you Wednesday. See you guys.
Join us there. All right, everyone. Well,
Tama-tama lang.
May hangover pa.
yes, yeah. Oh, I left already. Thank you, Jessa, Grace, Elsie. Thank you, Angeli, if you're still there.
Annie is from Washington State, so she's really about 3 a.m. as well.
Oh, yeah?
Wow.
Annie, yeah. Thank you, Annie, for being here.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you,
Grace,
Jessa.
thank you for your question.
All right. Thank you, Faye. God bless.
Si Faye, here.
Yes. Thank you, Grace. Jermaine, thank you. Kevin, thank you for joining.
Is Jermaine your nephew, Din?
No, si Glenda. That's the daughter of Glenda.
Oh, I see. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ma'am Teresita. I hope
Yeah,
to see you.
hello, Teresita.
Thanks, Sophia. Thank you.
All right, so see you next Wednesday.
Grace, thank you.
Thank you. Salamat, John, ha?
Opo, salamat din po.
Hello. Hello, Kali. Nakinig siya?
Tita Jerry.
May child
Hi,
student
Tita
tayo.
Jerry.
Hello.
Say hi.
Ang laki na niya?
Oo.
2-year-old.
Laki na.
3
3 years old. Yeah.
Oh my. So she listens. Alam mo, she understands that in the inner realm. The youngest student.
3 years old.
Very bright yan eh. No? So,
Tita Jerry.
hello.
Thanks, Jer.
Thank you.
Jimmy, yan. Yan yung question ko sa'yo, ha? Text mo na lang.
Text na lang tayo.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nagpa-fly pa si Kurt?
Oo, kakadating lang galing Amerika.
Okay, very good.
Just arrived this morning. 1 week.
Ang bata.
Say bye-bye, Tita Jerry.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, Tita Jerry.
Bye.
Flying kiss. Flying kiss.
Ang galing estudyante mo yan eh. No?
Oo. Maaga pa lang turuan na. The Holy Christ self.
Oo, this is the next generation na eh.
Yeah, I know.
Ang galing. May absorption na yan.
Oo. Kikinig eh.
Nakikinig siya talaga. Oo, attentive.
Bye-bye. Tita Jerry. Love you.
Love you.
Bye, Sila. Okay. See you Wednesday. Okay. All right.
Hello, Sir Ayan. I'm
Yes,
gonna
sir.
call you afterwards. On and off yung internet ko.
Oh, sige. We'll talk na lang.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Then
you for
I-
being...
Hello, Auntie Tia. Call you mamaya. May mga tanong ako mamaya sa inyo. Yeah, I cannot type eh. On and off yung ano ko, Auntie. Ang internet ko. 3 beses ako nag-reconnect.
Listen na lang sa tape.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
I will send you the USB kasi hindi ko napadala kay Diana eh. Hindi naman pumunta dito.
Oo, kasi natatakot siya lumabas, Auntie. Baka mamaya ma-lockdown ako sabi.
So nakabalik na dyan? Nandyan na siya?
Andito na po. Umalis siya nung pinadala yun sa inyo, umalis siya ng gabi.
Oh, that's what she told me.
All right.
Ang ganda ng discussions kanina. Sayang na miss ko
yeah.
yung last part.
Okay lang.
So, Manny, ang dami kong tanong sa